We take a lot of things for granted, starting with water. We use it for bathing, drinking, cooking, and so much more. But 750 million people do not have access to water.
We believe water is the way to break the cycle of poverty, to protect and save lives, and to make a bright future possible for all.
We're thrilled tonight to be joined by actor Matt Damon and water advocate Gary White. They are out with a new book called The Worth of Water. We thank you both so much for your time tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So you're both the founders of water.org, which has given more than 43 million people access to safe water. Matt, you write that when you started working with Gary, you adopted a rule that Ben Affleck once established for your screenwriting sessions. Judge me on how good my good ideas are, not how bad my bad ideas are. I think that we could all adopt that idea. Tell us about some of the solutions that you've thrown out to help solve what you call one of the world's greatest challenges, water scarcity.
Thanks. Great question. One of the most incredible ideas and innovations that he had was this idea of water credit, which was taking the principles of microfinance, which Muhammad Yunus pioneered and made so famous, and applying them to the water sector. That's what's enabled us to scale and reach so many people, because we're able to facilitate loans to some of the poorest women in the world who remarkably and heroically pay them back at over 99%. Some of the world's poorest people, they'll participate in their own solutions and they'll really lead the way and solve their own problems.
All right, that incremental change sounds like it could make a big difference. And Gary, you both write 785 million people lack access to safe water and 1.7 billion people lack access to even a toilet. Why do you think that making safe water more accessible globally has been a conversation that's often gone ignored?
Well, I think what we see with the model that Matt was talking about and how we can scale this is the fact that, you know, women around the world are already paying huge amounts of time and money to get water access. Sometimes they're paying in terms of water vendors who sell water in their villages. And, you know, one woman I met really exemplifies this. Her name was Linsey, and she was in the Philippines. And so she took out a loan from one of our microfinance partners, and her payments on that loan were about $5 a month. And her water bill was now about $5 a month. So now she has $50 in her pocket to invest in her family, to pay for better food, to pay for better health care, to pay for education.
And Matt, a theme throughout the book is water is life. And you and Gary have gone from the Sahara to the Philippines to India and so many other places, seeing firsthand just how dire the need is. Is there a particular place or family or person that really resonated with you to make you feel, I have got to do something about this?
I would probably start at the beginning, I think, just because the very first, the girl who taught me about this was the first girl I went on a water collection with, and she was 14 years old, and she had all this ambition and these dreams, and I so connected with her, and it reminded me of being 14, and you know, Ben Affleck and I were going to the big city of New York, and we were going to be actors, and that's what a 14-year-old should be thinking about and dreaming about is the potential and what their life will bring. And it wasn't until later when I was driving away that I realized that had someone not sunk a bore well near this girl, she wouldn't have been in school. You know, she would have spent her life on water collections, and she wouldn't have dreams of being a nurse and contributing to the economic engine of her country and contributing to her community. You know, she would have been just in this struggle to make it day to day and help her family get to the next day. And so the ways in which this affects people's lives, you know, besides the needless and really inexcusable death that, you know, that comes along with this, 300,000 kids will die this year because they lack access, you know, for really totally preventable reasons. But there's this whole other side about people living up to their potential. And that's really incalculable when you try to add up all of these lives. If we can intervene in this small way and nudge these markets toward them and let them take control of their own destinies.
And Matt, just to stick with you just for one moment, you write how you knew from the beginning to solve this crisis, you need a global movement. And Gary has helped you so much with all of his incredible wealth of context and knowledge. But you say that the least that you could do was make an idiot of yourself for a cause. How have you been able to leverage your celebrity status to do good?
Yeah, that's a big part of what we're up against is trying to kind of break through and explain the problem to people, because for those of us who have water in abundance, which if you're living in the States, you wake up in the morning and there's a kitchen tap, there's a bathroom tap. The water in our toilet is cleaner than some of the water that people contend with in some other places in the world. That's a real issue for us, is trying to cut through all the noise and explain the problem.
And to that point, Gary, what can the average American do to help?
Well, clearly what we're trying to do is to break through with the message Matt said, and certainly the book is a new way for us to do that. Matt and I are donating all of our author fees to water.org, so the book purchase actually gets somebody safe water. And the ability to then, not even if you can't donate, be a water ambassador. If you get a book, pass it on or bring it up at your book club. And that's what we really need to do. We're just trying to channel the heroic efforts of so many women who are taking this challenge on themselves. We give it a little nudge by making some of these loans available, but they're the ones who the story is really about.
And lastly, to Matt, to you, how optimistic are you that we can actually help end this crisis? So a few decades from now, we're not still talking about nearly 1 billion people without water, but actually how the world came together to change that.
We are trending in the right direction. They're in the billions in terms of how many people have pulled themselves out of poverty in the last 20 years. And look, Gary and I, when we started, in 2012, we hit our first 1 million people. And in the last decade, we've hit almost 43 million more. So it's going to really take an all hands on deck approach. It's really going to require a lot of engagement from a lot of different places in order to solve this in our lifetime.
Well, what a significant and life-changing message and effort that you guys are both doing. Matt Damon, Gary White, we thank you so much. Their new book, The Worth of Water, is now available for pre-order.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.